Hey guys, this is my fourth video on inverted polarity and is where I absolutely destroy the dumb subjectivists who hype up headphones like the HIFIMAN HE400SE and Susvara would ship with inverted polarity, and that manufacturers take note. So I did the test with variations, T3+, planar IEM, passed it easily, but this guy named Aura was like, "This test is not passable on HIFIMAN HE400SE, I'm so smart." You know, the crazy thing to me is that this is really not hard to hear, so I wonder if these people are just dumb or misleading you on purpose because there is financial incentive in this for them. They've been telling you for years to buy these headphones with inverted polarity, and not Aura necessarily, but Wayne, for example, and Sonic Getaway post affiliate links to headphones like the HIFIMAN HE400SE, and obviously it'll be bad for their reputation if they admit that inverted polarity is audible in low fidelity. But anyways, I can easily pass this test on the HIFIMAN HE400SE that is in music, not necessarily a test tone. With the test tone, this is really incredibly easy for anyone. And you know, he's already come up with this damage control excuse that for some reason it's inaudible on a balanced amplifier that is inverted polarity, but very audible on a single-ended amplifier. And this makes no sense, obviously, and is just complete bullshit from this guy. And you know, the problem is that the people that he misleads and, I don't know, you know, whatever. They're going to believe whatever he says just because he just confuses them and they don't understand what he's saying, so therefore he must be right. So, you know, this is really just like a waste of my time at this point. And, you know, if these people who are ignorantly being misled are not convinced by this video, they are just complete idiots and beyond saving. And the reason he says that it's not audible on a balanced amp is because the drivers are being moved symmetrically or something, which doesn't make any sense. The magnitude response would be different on a single-ended amp if you inverted polarity, and this guy's claim was true about some symmetry being different. Degru actually measured the Edition XS, some weird measurement, but anyways, he shows that the driver moves the same regardless if polarity is inverted or not, and this was on a single-ended amp. I'm doing this test on a Topping DX3 Pro Plus. Hopefully this brings the least complaints because it's a pretty powerful amplifier and it gets these headphones pretty loud. I'm at like minus 20 dB at most, really, so really plenty of power left on high gain. L7 Audio Labs measured this and showed that the power is very high as well, even at low impedances. And now that we've talked about Aura, let's talk about Wayne. And now he's saying that a raw recording of acoustic instruments never has different behaviors on opposite ends of polarity. And when you throw in multiple mics to this argument, like what's pretty much necessary to record a drum kit, Wayne's stance goes completely out the window. Archimago says brass instruments like trumpets and trombones tend to show waveform asymmetry because the air is blown forward and there's impedance of vibrations back toward the mouthpiece. I expect that this would be especially pronounced with close miking. And he shows the waveforms. It's clearly not symmetrical. The next thing he says is, and he was using tests of tracks with phase that was specifically uneven. So now what is it? Are you just gonna like cherry pick and say that certain music does not qualify as real music? You know, it just is really insane at this point. And he says, better yet, you know what else this proves at Arastis? That minimum phase memes are impossible and a complete joke at best. Because of minimum phase rules and average over time entirely dictated what type here, reversing phase wouldn't change shit audibly. You know, I really find it funny how this guy just like tries to say stuff to sound smart without actually knowing what the fuck he is talking about. And these idiots believe everything he says. Okay, so here we have the KZPR1 with correct polarity. When people talk about something being minimum phase, they mean that the excess phase is low. The minimum phase, as you can see, is in gray here and is calculated directly from the magnitude response, where the actual phase of the headphone in green differs from the minimum phase response is the excess phase. As we can see, up to 3 kilohertz, there is very little excess phase, and it increases to 120 degrees in really high frequencies, but humans are very insensitive to phase shifts after 1 kilohertz anyways. So this headphone is mostly minimum phase with correct polarity. But if you invert polarity, it's no longer minimum phase. So this has no fucking thing to do with disproving minimum phase rules. A headphone with inverted polarity is not minimum phase. Okay, so I took this test on the HIFIMAN HE400SE. You can see 99.9% confidence interval with 93% accuracy. This test isn't notably harder on this headphone than it is on IEMs. So if you have the HIFIMAN HE400SE and are hellbent on using this headphone, you need to get this fixed by rewiring the headphone or inverting polarity upstream so that it becomes correct polarity. Because this is just a joke at this point. Here, I'll even do this test again live just to show you. I mean, it's just a joke, really. My God. So obvious, man. You really need to have zero listening ability not to be able to hear this. Really, 5 out of 5? Come on now. It just sounds so bad when polarity is inverted. Like, you can clearly see here I'm getting these right easily. It just sounds so fucking bad. These people are like complete idiots, you know. I don't know why I'm even wasting my time with this bullshit, but... And just to like help you understand what exactly this means, let's use this left driver as an example. When there's a positive signal, the driver is supposed to move right, this way, okay? When there's a negative signal, it's supposed to move the other way. When polarity is inverted and there's a positive signal and the driver is supposed to move this way, it moves the other way. A driver being planar magnetic or dynamic has nothing to do with the audibility of inverted polarity. If it was, it would mean that the driver does not fucking move on a planar magnetic headphone and there would be no sound coming from this headphone. It's just so infuriating dealing with these idiots all the time. And I honestly don't know why I do it. Maybe it just brings more content to this channel. It's like making fun of disabled people at this point. It's basically cruel, I don't know, but the problem is that people literally join these servers and get misled by idiots. This headphone sounds like a complete joke too. The treble is less harsh than Degru's unit, I heard, because he removed the foam or something. I think that's why the treble is less harsh on this, but it's still not good treble quality, at least compared to the variations. The mid-range is recessed, bass sounds like the driver is farting. And one weird thing is that this left driver distorts relatively easily. This is just a complete joke of a headphone. Like earlier I was in tears listening to this headphone over how bad it sounded. The treble is not that harsh, but it is kind of harsh. Not on all songs, but revealing songs. The bass leaves a lot to be desired. Vocals are recessed with some slight screechiness when it just comes back up, I guess. Like obviously it's not the worst sounding headphone ever, but it's really not passable. It's more in the relatively minor areas where it fails. I think most people would say it sounds good for the most part. I don't know, there's like this weird grunginess with HIFIMAN planars. I think it has to do with the frequency response being unsmooth. Like you can see in Audio Science Review's graph, for example, there's a lot of roughness in the response. Actually, maybe the grunginess also has to do with the inverted polarity. That's something I noticed as being a symptom of inverted polarity. There's this weird like grunginess to the sound versus it sounding cleaner on correct polarity, which is something I mentioned with the warbling effect. Well, I guess I can just like listen to the song here. There's just no engagement to mid-range instruments. This headphone just does not understand the definition of timbre, honestly. What a stupid headphone. But anyways, that's it from me. Inverted polarity is definitely audible even on open back planars, and the amp topology does not matter at all. I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm out. I'd like to give a shout out to Christopher Yu, the ROFL Reaper, Tripped, Fofo, Castello 4141, Straight Up Bemchech, Moonalos, Ninja Coma 3, Hunter Bungay, Vsauce 4, Wadiaker, and Snivry. Thank you guys a lot for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. If you also want to support the channel, be sure to join the Patreon, Discord membership, or YouTube membership. Also, make sure to join the Apple House Sound Discord server if you haven't.